Okay. This is a series that has been recommended to me and that I was going to watch anyway. You can't keep me away from this with a baseball bat. It's Starbuck. Some people call him the European Infi. He's one of the younger players in Warcraft 3 that wasn't really super well known before the StarCraft 2 era. But in recent times, during the resurgence of Warcraft and during the resurgence in W3 Champions, and how it has brought competition back to the game, Starbuck has emerged as a very high MMR player, crafty, good micro, and most of all, he can play all the races. Playing random for a long time and originally starting his debut in the semi-pro scene of Warcraft 3 by playing 2v2 and random, he is now starting to play more and more in tournaments, and he either played random or he played what used to be his original, which was Undead. That was his original main race. But he also plays random, and he can also race pick per opponent who he's up against. And he's from Slovenia. That's Starbuck for you. And then on the other side, we have Zizon Human, aka Chimiko, or as I would pronounce it, Chemico. He's a Korean human, very good micro, likes to do fast techs, skipping towers, and using his strong micro to defend himself against feral spirit harassment. One of the best humans in the world. Top 2 human in Korea, together with Sok. Chimiko favors rifleman playstyles and efficient fights with nice mana potions on his second hero. And nothing too greedy, risky, just solid play, as is actually fairly typical for most Korean players, building out their strengths more and more. Now, the map we're playing on is Echo Isles. Echo Isles has long been a map that is very classical to the Warcraft 3 experience, but it isn't exactly very balanced. First of all, it's asymmetrical in many different places, which means sometimes there's a large area to stage your attack on someone's expansion, and sometimes there is a very small amount of space to build buildings near an enemy expansion. Another downside of it is that because there's only one gold mine to expand towards, even if one player manages to get an advantage by expanding early, which is a little bit too easy as well, the other can catch up, and eventually you're stuck in a 2 versus 2 base situation where both have too much defender's advantage because of the layout of the map. Cue Echo Isles version 2. Version 2 of Echo Isles has been worked on by a number of people, including the inspiration to my Headhunter build that has now been adopted very widely, Save Orcas. Save Orcas has been working together with a map maker to improve the Echo Isles experience. And that's what this version of the map is. Practically identically symmetrical on the left and right side. And with more creeps, so that you don't reach the point where creeps are completely gone from the map. That leads to a static gameplay style. And very crucially, there's a third gold mine here that is defended by a rock golem, 3 trolls and a little mud golem. The layout of everything has been changed a bit more space has been made behind the gold mines, and that is the map that was played in a recent tournament, in which the grand finals, in a best of 5, Chimiko and Starbuck met. We have seen that Starbuck has gone straight for the harassment with the Farseer and the Feral Spirits. Chimiko got the first creep camp and has gotten what little extra XP that he could get from last hitting wolves. Using wolves consistently to pressure footmen and peasants has long been the meta for orc against human, basically since 2004 when the Frozen Throne came out. And then resummoning wolves or self-killing them as orc has long been one of the major skill exertions that you should do, and it isn't too hard. But these are the things that you must do as an orc to prevent XP being given to the Archmage. Losing 3 wolves to the Archmage means that the Archmage gets Brilliance Aura, which shouldn't have happened. That means he gets more mana regeneration, than he should be. You want to delay that point as long as possible, especially when they need all of 3 full wolves in order to get it. However, dead Archmage tails no tails, and also doesn't get any mana regeneration, so fair enough. And very nice assist by the little mutton chop over here to have the surround on the Archmage. Chimiko decided not to town portal as he has no means to actually use his Archmage even after TPing when he's just within a single hit from dying. Even if somehow he was able to stay alive against harassing wolves or another Farseer auto attack, he wouldn't be able to do anything on the map, and it's better just to let it die, self-kill it if possible. Just let it die and remake it. And yeah, getting that Panda Tavern Hero. Tier 2 is finishing for Starbuck. We can see that he has switched after the first, 4 or 5 Headhunters into Grunts. 2 Grunts, in fact. Another sheep trying to help Chimiko there. 2 Grunts is the follow-up to these Headhunters because Headhunters forces the rather expensive Defend upgrade, 150 gold, 100 lumber, making them a lot more survivable against Headhunters and even doing a little bit of return damage. Grunts are then made to protect. There's 5 Headhunters, in fact. Grunts are then made to protect as their normal attack damage is not mitigated by Defend upgrade. Chimiko's plan this game was simple. Get any creep camp you can, and I don't know when Orc is gonna harass me, but when they start harassing me, I'm going to start defending non-stop, as good as I can. But Starbuck outplayed him here. He decided to tech without Arcane Tower, and just a level 1 Archmage with no plans to really get level 2. He had a low peasant count. Not the highest footman count, but normal, within the means. But Headhunters are really good at out-microing footmen. They have a massive advantage in range and damage output. And Chimiko took too much damage, perhaps didn't use enough militia, and he lost his Archmage. Otherwise, his style might have been... Oh, Hex surround. Hex attempted surround. Otherwise, his style might have been Archmage level 2, easy does it, and then Panda second, Footman defend harass into casters, and eventually just skirmish and skirmish, get some slows out, creep, eventually Panda level 3, and then start fire breathing. And until recently, the second hero for Orc has been Tauren Chieftain. War Stomp to kill footies, militia, to stun the Mountain King, which was meta, but now it's Panda actually. To do a bit of extra bonus burst damage, and to get... Don't think that worked out for... yeah, he didn't get the steal. Wasted Chain Lightning mana. So that's what the TC was doing, and even more than that, it was the attack speed from the Endurance Aura, 5% attack speed on everyone, and 10% movement speed on everything. These were the reasons to go TC second. He was also a strong tank, in order to tank and block and absorb 4 Headhunters, and to enable them in this way. But a number of Tavern Hero second strategies by human, including with Panda second, or as I just faced myself on ladder, even Beastmaster second, are able to exert a lot of early game pressure, earlier even than the Mountain King. Because first of all, you hire from the Tavern instantly, instead of waiting 60 seconds for your Mountain King. And secondly, it starts on the middle of the map, rather than in your own base. And it gives you a little bit of a leg up. So let's say that the Tavern Hero is usually about 70 seconds earlier at pushing, if not 90 seconds earlier, or even 100 seconds earlier, depending on the map and the location of the Tavern and the bases. So that pressure made Farseer TC quite difficult to exist. You wouldn't have the Hex to disable defense upgrades on footies. You wouldn't have Hex to threaten heroes. And the TC would be lumbering around fairly uselessly. Now let's talk about this attack here by Starbuck. He decided to attack with a Shadowhunter level 1. This is usually quite unusual. Attacking with Shadow 1 usually baits the Orc into wasting his mana on spells that aren't that effective yet. It's 90 mana no matter what, on a Shadowhunter heal wave level 1 or on a heal wave level 2. And of course one gives way more healing than the other. I let you guess which one. That pressure play was perhaps intended as a way to stave off an expected human expansion. Pressuring at that time without having a precursor of a scout would allow Orc to immediately act on any expansion attempt. Had Human saved up 400 gold, skipping maybe 2 breakers for the time being, in order to be able to sponsor an expansion, an all-out brawl might have been advantageous for Orc. Even so, I think even if Human had been expanding at that time, it may not have been the right play. Simply because of what I said. The inefficiency of mana expenditure versus the ratio of healing that you get back from it. Shadow 3, and in fact almost any Hero 3, is usually a key when you go into an all-out brawl to end the game. He could just do a bit of skirmish, you may say. It doesn't have to be an all-in. And that's true, he showed up there and he left, right? But essentially, if you get caught in a slow trap, if you're forced to use a Scroll of Town portal after going somewhere, if you do not come out victorious, but you did waste all of your mana, half of your units, everything else is hurt, you're forced to TP, it's as good as an all-in. Because you just left 1 versus 2 bases, licking your wounds, and it costs you too much time. So when attacks are likely to feel all-in like that, it's best not to even commit to them, even if you are able to and allowed to walk away. You now see these inefficient fights for Orc, where he is taking damage against Fire Breath level 2, and he doesn't have the healing, neither from Heal Scroll nor Heal Wave, in order to make up for it. The loss here in this fight is only 1 Headhunter, but the losses in item expenditure, time wasted because he actually walled himself in entirely. The time waste, the TP expenditure, the predictability of where he now is. Human knows he's in his base. All the costs of mana regeneration, the amount of time that Human gets from having that Orc off the map and now able to creep anything he wants with a very predictable Orcish location. And even being able to make an expansion behind this, which finished just seconds ago. That made this Shadow level 2 attack, in fact, an all-in. And walking away from it had the illusion of a future. You thought you had a future, but you didn't. Such. And that's why people don't attack with Shadow 2, usually. Mass Kodo Beast is pretty good against breakers, but the amount of time required to eat breakers makes it an unvalid strategy. They will end up taking too much damage that doesn't get out-healed by troll regeneration, like trolls themselves can be. And it is a good way to remove a number of breakers quickly, but they take so much damage. They have 0 armor, 1 armor actually, but it cannot be upgraded. It's medium for headhunters, which means less damage from water elementals. Kodos are unarmored, which means more. So let's see, he's eaten 3 breakers. It's actually looking quite good. You question the sanity of this attack here by Chimiko. But he's starting a fight, and the key units he's not really losing, these casters. It could be a bit better micro for the Orc here, and there's no Fire Breath yet, so there isn't a lot of fear. But this is a fight that Chimiko starts that he doesn't expect to win, but he knows it will buy so much time, because after this the Orc doesn't attack. He will actually go back and heal again. And this seems like a horrible, terrible attack, and in fact I'm almost wondering, hey, maybe Orc is winning. But he is at 60 food, he's totally all in because he went over 60. That means no Tiny Great Hole counter expansion is possible. He only has a 90 gold. And this actually costs more healing salves than you can even afford. Than you can even buy, like it's literally out of stock. If Heal Scrolls were TPs, he'd be walking around with a stinky bum right now. He's trying to heal everything up and he's got a mana pot and, you know, he's still eating. It's like, this Kodo ate a breaker and it was for free. You know, he's killing it, there's no counterplay and it's 9 food and it's XP and, you know, it's cool and everything. All that. But they're offering vision. When we look at Seasonal Human, he sees the Kodos. He knows he's not being all in right now, right? He sees the Kodos. These Kodos are not helping to creep. They're not moving around or anything special. And although Orc has been getting a lot of kills here by comparison, I suspect that Human will eventually outcompete him, just with the war machine of his production. Panda is now level 4, and Chimiko should pick up another mana potion, perhaps even a regeneration scroll. He's going to go with the Clarity, mana pot, and nothing else for the time being. Units are being pumped out on the double. We've got just 1 sorceress, just a few slows, Maybe even invisibility. He has adept rank, so he can invis a hero. Double claws on the Archmage, which means he's probably not gonna respec to Blizzard, though he definitely could. The breakers are even being upgraded with Blacksmith, despite the rather low lumber count. This is currently being remedied. He's got enough peasants for this moment. Heal pod, invo on the Archmage, and scouting with a Water Elemental. Starbuck won the fight, if you remember, but it took him another 2 minutes to attack. That's how long it takes Orc to heal up sometimes and be full again. You may wonder, oh, he could attack without being full. I guess true, but he will suffer many losses to Fire Breath. This now finally is an all-in attack by Orc. His upgrades are 2-0, quite high for the amount of headhunters he has and the amount of Kodos he has. Trying to dodge the Fire Breath there, not too bad, and he gets one Devour with the Kodos, trying to get the rest in position. And he definitely could Devour, but he's not re-controlling them. They chose targets that are now out of range. That's War Stomp level 2. He gets a nice War Stomp there. In fact, can I change my prediction? This looks pretty good right now for Orc, but this can have a tendency to start turning around. Actually, this is a lot of damage. Maybe he found a window before Human really was able to defend. That's 2 breakers? Yeah, 3 breakers being A10. Fire Breath has been spent and it's not enough. Panda is getting surrounded, but he's got plenty of survivability. Is Human still producing steadily? Yes, breakers being produced. And there's a dodge on the next War Stomp. Nice hits coming in here for the Orc. Orc has run out of mana. There's another Fire Breath, and that's how deceiving these fights can be. Anything is still possible. He kills the Pandaren Brewmaster. No new Fire Breaths coming out right now, and I'm spying the replay timer that I probably should have covered up. And it looks like Starbuck, after all, has done it. The crazy fool. He's actually been able to break here with this funny 3 Kodo build, hitting a timing rather than mass investing in Raiders. I do feel like Chimiko took this fight a little bit too eagerly. He had the Arcane Tower, he took the fight quite frontally, and he let a number of things be devoured. And it's not totally over yet. The Panda's being remade from the altar. Actually, Orc is dropping rather low. The micro here for Chimiko is quite good. Brilliance level 2. No. Archmage in front. No way to save it. Starbuck breaks him. I really didn't expect that. In the end, at the end of the day, their army size was roughly the same when they clashed. And even though the Human had had an expansion for so long, largest army 61, largest army 65 here for Chimiko. A very nice break there. I didn't expect it anymore. It took Starbuck so long to heal up, but he got his nice 3 Devours off. Not sure what he was focusing in the fight. It wasn't like a blind beeline run for the headhunters for the headhunters into casters, as I sometimes do. Nor was he focusing one by one breaker per se. It was a lot of auto attacking, but he minded his units very defensively in order to try to keep as many alive as long as possible. Well done. GG.